loves to be more victim, maybe a little bit of complaining, whereas she could just be like, here's what I want, or here's what I need, or hey, this is how I feel, instead of, oh, I can't do that because. So it's that communication piece. How do you get people to understand the actual word that they speak, and from their truth, like understand, because the word of clarity, I believe, is showing people what you mean. And if you're unclear with the specific, and it could be less words, bigger impact, versus more words, people are so confused because there's too much. How do you get them to slow down a little bit and understand each single word and the meaning of the word? Like one of my kids went to jail. When I say kids, one of my, I've been working in juvenile halls and different things, and he ended up, when he got out, he was doing good, got caught up with something. He didn't get caught up. He chose to do something. And today he's got 2 kids. He's doing great. He's got a job, and he, transformed his life. But that point was very challenging. And he's over my house one day, and he's like, there's words like racism. And I was like, he said something to my fiance about it. And he said something, and I was like, racism. And he's talking about like Judaism. He's like, it's not a bad thing. It's a study of. Mm-hmm. But from my perspective, it was like, people are like, that's racism. And I'm like, hold on. And I never Googled it, because I never knew, like, nobody ever taught me that. Right. So, and I grew up, like, I was a special ed white boy with a bunch of people from Asia and India in Cupertino, California. So I grew up as like a minority of the system I was in. So it's interesting to grow up in that and then go into the US and then see what's going on and these words. So how do you get them to really be clear and concise and understand the words or the meanings behind the words to communicate?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a online group coaching program called Privilege, and this week was all about clarity. And but before we even got to that place of clarity, there were these, what I call the I am attributes. Who do you desire to become, and create those words. And I think that when you start to become a student of being a good communicator, you become more aware of your word choice. You become more aware of listening to other people and what words they're using. And when you become more aware, you start to notice where your strengths are and where your opportunities are. And if there are words that you don't understand, because you are now more aware, you're going to realize that I don't understand that word. And then you're probably just going to go look it up. Or you're going to ask somebody, hey, I don't understand what you mean by that. Please explain more. Which is also a point of clarity. If you're speaking and you don't understand what someone else is saying, then to be clear, you ask them. Or you invite people to say, hey, if there's anything that I'm saying that's not that clear, then make sure you let me know. That's a simple way to speak with more clarity. But I believe that, to answer your question, it is a space of awareness. And it's also taking responsibility too, and not assuming that people are just going to know every single word or the context in which you use words. So in my opinion, I always say, make it plain. What are you really trying to say? And if you start to sense, and this is where you use discernment, and this is where you use your better judgment, that people aren't following you, then you say, hey, are you following me? Is there something that you don't get? Is there something you don't understand? And then once you invite that, most people will be like, yeah, I don't really get what you were saying about this, that, and the other. And now you have an opportunity to provide more clarity. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of words that we can, use in order to express ourselves, in order to communicate our thoughts and our ideas. So I would say, become more aware that there are words that you may not understand, and there are words that other people may not understand. And when you operate in that space, now there's an open line of communication and understanding, so that you can continuously be a student of speaking, a student of communicating, and now you can start to learn. But I'm definitely not the person that will always say, go to dictionary.com, sign up for their weekly word or their daily word. I cannot remember any of those words. Most of the words that new words that I learn is through reading books, articles, and also just listening to people who aren't necessarily in my genre, right? And listening, watching programs that aren't necessarily, something that I'm actually like totally into, right? And then you stumble upon words, and when you stumble upon words in like real life, then you are met with the context immediately. You experience the context. And then when you didn't understand it and somebody provides it for you, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's so much more difficult to forget those words rather than I'm going to get this word a day from dictionary.com and think that I'm going to expand my vocabulary. Instead, become aware, ask questions when you don't understand. Don't assume that other people are going to understand. And if you're trying to expand your vocabulary so that you can do a better job of communicating and expressing yourself, then read more books, and not just more books, but read more books and consume more content that's outside of your realm of understanding.
So I'd love to finish on two things. One, I'd love to have you plug what you're doing with the online coaching privilege. And then two, I'd love for you to give somebody one nugget of information about becoming more aware, because I find that that's a good first step before somebody reaches out to you if they're interested, or before they go to the next step, they get to wake up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say that one nugget for like awareness in the space of communication and public speaking. But going back to, what was the other thing that you asked?
Yeah, so if you could talk about the privilege online coaching, like how do you guys do that? What do you do?
Plug myself, right? Okay, how did I forget that you asked me to plug myself? Here comes the plug, ladies and gentlemen. No, but like I said, most of my coaching and training was in the corporate landscape, and I absolutely loved it. But then I realized I was getting a lot of individuals who were like, oh, how can I work with you? How can I work with you? How can I work with you? And I value the group space so much that I really had a tough time trying to translate that into the one-on-one space. So I decided to do group coaching. And now since COVID, that thing that we all know about, the C word, since then, I've pivoted and now created the online group coaching space. And now the name of the program is Privilege. It's an 8-week program, and it's all about building the confidence, the credibility, the clarity, and how to connect with your audiences. And more than anything, what we're exploring in this program is the energy, the spirit, the je ne sais quoi, the charm, the X factor. Like, that's what people are looking for. People want those mic drop worthy moments. People want to speak in front of an audience and say, oh, I did that. People want to get done with a talk and have people say, hey, oh my gosh, you totally resonated with me. You touched me. I loved listening to you. Those are the things that people who are either working, most of my clients probably have 9-to-5s, but then they also have second businesses. They're growing businesses. They have thriving businesses at that. And so in both of those spaces, they want to take ownership over their voice and how they're directing their message. So the people that show up, and right now it's been primarily women, but I'm not opposed to getting some fellas in there. Hoop, hoop, I know I can do that. But these women are coming together and they're building camaraderie. They're learning from one another. They're challenging one another. They're answering questions. And more than anything, I'm teaching people how to be great speakers. Not just how you can be a great speaker, but now what do you see in others? So I'm actually getting ready to launch the next cohort, which is going to begin January 14th, and I'll start my next 8-week cohort. And I typically keep that going. So if anybody's interested in becoming a part of the Privilege program, I say the first step is follow me on Instagram. You can visit my website, which is levelcom.com. That's levelcomm.com. But that's most of my corporate space and my corporate work. But if you're trying to really improve your public speaking skills, you want to have those mic drop worthy moments, then you definitely need to see if Privilege is a program for you. And in order to do that, just follow me on Instagram, because that's where I talk about it all. I talk about it all on Instagram. And then finally,
I love it. And finally, one piece.
Yeah.
How can they wake up?
The one piece, and I know, Daniel, that you can definitely attest to this, and this is probably one of your big messages. And this is probably one of the biggest messages, or one of the biggest nuggets, or the common denominator nugget. Whenever you're looking to make change in your life, whenever you're looking to transform from where you are to where you desire to be, this is probably the one thing that everybody can agree on, is you have to believe in yourself. And I can give you the tactics, I can give you the strategies, I can give you the motivation, I can give you the books, I can give you the practices, and you will eat all that stuff up because you're eager and you want to have change. But you may find yourself on the end of practice, implementing, trying again and trying again. You may find yourself at the end of that and still feel like, I'm not where I want to be. And it's because you did not believe. When you were reading, you didn't believe in yourself. When you were writing, you didn't believe in yourself. When you were practicing, you didn't believe in yourself. There has to be, you have to transcend the level of belief that you know you currently have of self and multiply it by 100 million thousand. And it may seem like a whole lot, but anytime you feel doubt, insecurity, fear, distrust, and any of those things that do not serve you, step over it like a puddle in the street. And when you do that, you're stepping closer and deeper into your own belief. But if you do not believe that the tools, the tactics, the strategies, the help, the support, the wisdom, the knowledge, the insights that you get from all of these great people like myself and like Daniel, if you don't believe that those things are going to be able to help you or change you, transform you, then they will not work. It's something like magic. You got to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that those things and the efforts that you're making are going to be able to change you. So you have to believe. You just got to believe. Believe in yourself.
That's it. It's believe. It is the last word of the day. Believe. I really appreciate you coming on today. We'll have your website down below, social media stuff, links. You're a huge blessing to a lot of people. And thank you very much for your time. And when I'm in Houston sometime, I'd love to grab lunch with you or a bite and spend a little more time with you.
I want to say something to you. I want to celebrate you, and then also just say thank you to reach your reach, right? And I was taking a look at the people that you have on your podcast and the work that you do. And what I really could just identify immediately is you seem to be so willing and eager to meet and talk to people with varied perspectives, and then kind of find out that we share very same ideologies and passion. And I just like that. When I was looking through the list, I was like, oh, look at that person. Look at that. Like this. I celebrate you for that. I congratulate you for that, and keep doing it. And you found, a new follower, a new subscriber, a new listener. And yes, when you do come to Houston, whenever that may be, we're definitely going to go out and have some lunch. But I think what you're doing is great. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. You guys, every week on Tuesday, Significance Breeds Success comes out. Check out the videos we have. You hear the audio, and listen to the messages is my challenge for you guys. Listen to the message of every person. Add some value to your life. Do something every week that adds value to your life. Be significant, and I guarantee you it will lead to amazing success throughout your life. Have a great week. See you next Tuesday.